One thing that often gets overlooked for big law attorneys is the full compensation package. Big law attorneys are typically paid a very high upfront cash compensation, but what you may not realize is that your benefits packages are not necessarily as robust as they are in some other industries, and it's important to understand what your options are and to make thoughtful elections about those. So the reality is that although you are paid a high cash compensation, usually that is offset to a degree by reduced broader benefits beyond the actual salary and bonus schedule. So, for example, you may have limited retirement matching for your 401k if you have any matching at all. And for those attorneys that go on to become equity partners, you may not realize yet, but when you're an equity partner, you're an owner of the firm, and therefore your benefits are not subsidized by the firm itself. So you're going to pay full cost for health insurance, life insurance, disability insurance, and things like that. So one of the first things that we can focus on is maximizing retirement contributions. For partners, I just alluded to this that you may have mandatory contributions in your 401k. In fact, you often do. You're used to making elective deferrals as an employee, but what you are not used to is being forced to make profit sharing contributions as the owner slash employer. And that can greatly reduce your cash flow throughout the year, particularly around bonus time when these large lump sums of money are traditionally taken from the end of the year true up. One thing that you can do is look for an after tax 401k bucket. This is different than the Roth savings account option. Most 401ks have a pre tax savings account and a Roth account, but some 401ks have a third account called after tax, which allows you to put in dollars after tax and then immediately convert those over to your Roth, which allows you to grow tax free assets very fast. So the strategic approach to this would be to organize your cash flows and plan ahead such that you can max out all of the pre-tax retirement savings vehicles that are available to you because you're likely being destroyed by taxes as a big law attorney. And then once that is done, hopefully you have enough left over such that you can also take advantage of any extra benefits such as the after-tax 401k bucket. Health insurance. So you need to understand the plan structure. Typically, what happens is that there will be one health insurance carrier and one network, and then your different choices for health insurance all just revolve around different payment structures. So, are you going to pay a high premium but have a low deductible? Are you going to pay a low premium but have a high deductible? And speaking of high deductibles, you should consider using your high deductible health plan with a health savings account because for most big law attorneys, your federal income tax and even state income tax marginal brackets mean that the savings you derive from maxing out a health savings account can offset the added burden of a higher deductible with your health insurance plan. And then finally, plan for partnership. So equity partners typically pay full cost for insurance, and that can be a real drain on your cash flows, particularly in the first couple of years of partnership. And I do want to acknowledge that this person, this AI generated image, definitely should take extra care in choosing their health plan because it looks like with three arms, they probably have a lot of things to discuss with their doctors. Disability coverage. So, for most big law attorneys, your biggest financial asset is your future earning stream. And typically, the way disability insurance works is that your default coverage through your regular employee benefits is 60% of your gross income. Now, that may be your gross income as defined by your total compensation for the prior year, but it also may only be 60% of your stated salary. And if you're someone who often receives a bonus, 60% of your stated salary is a lot less than your realistic total compensation. Frequently, this 60% coverage often comes with a cap. So, for example, they may say, we're going to cover 60% of your gross income in the event that you can't work, but we're going to cap it out at $10,000 a month or $15,000 a month or something like that. And frequently, big law attorneys start hitting that cap around the fourth year of being an associate Depending on how high the cap is, it may not happen until you're a partner level, but those benefit caps can greatly reduce the overall effectiveness of a disability insurance policy. So, oftentimes, you need to supplement the disability policy that you have through work with your own individual policy that you get outside of work. And what the insurance carriers will do is they'll examine what your current coverage is at work, and then they may let you purchase a supplemental 5, 10, maybe even 15% of coverage such that you can get yourself to around 70% of your gross income. Um, Usually, the disability coverage that you get through work is going to be taxable in the event that you take that income. So they may pay you 60% of your gross income, but after taxes, you're taking home more like 50 or 45%. Whereas with individual policies that would supplement this, usually there are no taxes associated with those benefits because you're paying the cost of the insurance upfront yourself. Whereas with the employer coverage, often the employer is paying for your coverage. And because of that, it makes the benefit taxable to you if and when you receive it. So you don't want to end up like this AI generated image of a person being completely freaked out by her employee benefits guide and realizing other things that she may have missed. So, as previously mentioned, the after tax 401k, this can be a really, really great tool to help you grow tax free retirement dollars much faster than you would otherwise be able to do so by contributing just to your Roth 401k account and or by doing a backdoor Roth IRA. Many BigLaw employee benefits firm guides include stipulations for childcare. So, to the extent that you need to get childcare because you're working on the weekend or you can't be home for a work related reason, they will supplement the cost of finding a babysitter or a nanny, and that can be a huge, valuable benefit to you. Legal protection. Oftentimes, firm negotiated legal and identity protection services are available to you. And identity protection in particular is a really valuable benefit that I think often gets overlooked. So be proactive about this. You need to be able to evaluate the full package that you're getting. Take as much advantage of the tax benefits as you possibly can, whether that's the 401k, the health savings account, any other options available to you. Typically, Big Law equity partners will also have pension retirement contributions that can reduce their tax burden as well. And finally, understand that although you do have default life insurance and disability insurance through the firm, that in most cases, the disability insurance is not adequate. Um, that if you were to be forced to stop working for an extended period of time because of illness, which is the number one cause of disability claims, that it could really mess up your financial future and your financial security. And so it's incredibly important to understand what your coverage is and where that's leaving you exposed. And in terms of life insurance, once you have a family and a house and maybe some other responsibilities, life insurance is often also something that needs to be supplemented outside of the work policy. So you too can feel like you're living in an AI generated Zen garden once you understand what your benefit choices are, where there are advantages and opportunities, and also where the risks are that leave you open to potential financial insecurity just based on relying solely on the benefits offered by the firm. So, as a reminder, often but not always, the 401k has a 0% match in which the firm is actually not contributing anything to your 401k. That's something to watch out for and be aware of. The disability coverage is typically starting at 60%. Often it's taxable, which will result in maybe 50% of your gross income being replaced. And that needs to be supplemented because your future earning stream is the most important financial asset you have. And finally, if you do go the partnership route, be prepared and plan in advance to pay 100% of the costs of things like health insurance, which is extremely expensive, life insurance, disability insurance. Be prepared to make mandatory contributions in the tens of thousands of dollars to your 401k as part of a profit sharing contribution as being an owner of the firm, and other associated costs that come with being an owner of the firm and no longer having your benefits supplemented. Hope this is helpful. Please reach out with any questions. Thanks.